Um, and cool. And we're live for yet another town hall, and probably the biggest town hall that we've had so far. We have a number of people, almost 20 people in our town hall already, and many more we think might come in over the course of the town hall. So our agenda for today is mainly how can we better serve you, the talent, the clients, the investors of LD Talent. And so we'll be talking through our Wefunder, which is our investment profile where people are already starting to invest, and what we have planned in future for the next few years. And then we'll hear from Abhi, because a big part of what we're trying to do over the next few years is make sure that regardless of where talent come from, whether it's Nigeria or Nepal, we are making sure that the quality and caliber of the talent we have on our network is world-class, meaning that we should ask Abhi, what do we need to do as a network to make sure our talent is world-class? What does it take to be an engineer at Meta, for instance, where Abhi has worked, at Facebook? And are we making sure that our vetting is up to that standard? And then we'll talk a little bit about the role of AI. We'll talk a little, Chiazam is joining. Hi, Chiazam. So we'll talk a little bit about the role of AI. Since AI now can write software, AI can write in English. So what is our purpose here? What can AI do that humans can't do, and what can humans do that AI can't do? And of course, throughout the process, the most important thing is to get all of your feedback on how to make this company and this network more effective. And so with that said, let's get started. So I'm going to share my screen, and feel free to stop me at any point in time if you have any questions or feedback, because that's mainly what we're looking for. More than a show, this is all about getting your feedback on how to make this network better and better and better. So we have our Wefunder. Many of you have seen it. Many of you have commented on it. You can see the traction of our platform. We've made that super transparent at this stage of what we're doing as a network. So you can see the various members of our team as well. Some of them you recognize on this call today. And so why LD Talent? It's because the world is at 8 billion people, and pretty much half are in Africa and South Asia. Yet Africa and South Asia control 5% of the world's wealth. So that's why we're doing the platform. You see our actual finances on this. You can see our finances as a company, our capitalization, a lot of interesting details about that we haven't revealed before. And you can see the market for what we're trying to get to. And so hopefully this is giving all of you some motivation to, work harder and harder and harder on our collective goals, because the better we do, the better we'll all do. And so a little bit about the competitive advantage. There's Turing in the space still, there's TopTal in the space, there's Upwork, there's LinkedIn. And so now I'm going to stop here and see if you have any feedback. Our main differentiator from Upwork is that we're actually doing the vetting, and our main differentiators from Turing and TopTal is that we're making sure that talent keep 80% of what they earn on the platform, regardless of the cut. And of course, we're incentivizing lifelong learning so that we can get really bright new university grads and deploy them onto projects without having to wait till they're very experienced. And so at this stage, I'd love to stop here and get some questions or feedback on the plan so far, if anyone has comments. Think about the pains that you face, right? All of you, many of you are talent. Some of you have been clients on the platform. What are the pains that you face on the platform? What do you wish was there to help you succeed? And that will help you get a start. And you could even reflect for your on your Wefunder comments if you've made one.
I had one suggestion. So there are some talents who would like to learn new things. So, and there would be someone who likes teaching them that technology. So we can encourage that and let people learn through them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is that a little bit more focus on the teaching aspect?
Yeah. So there might so the talent teach talent, the other talents. So if people are interested, so that will also help us with the getting more clients and more exposure.
Cool, cool. And I think we've started to see some teaching even happen already on the network. Thank you for showing video, everyone. That's great. Good to see each other. So I wanted to get a raise of hands of like who is interested in teaching. Some of us are just developers. We just want to develop or design, and some of us are interested in teaching. So I'm curious if you guys could raise your hands. There's a hand raise feature, I think, in Zoom. Like if you could raise your hand if you're actually interested in teaching. Okay, cool. So Daniel, so we have at least one person in this sample size, so that means there'll be more. Let's go through. So the go-to-market strategy. Okay, two. The go-to-market strategy of LD Talent, and three now.
I have something to say before you proceed.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, Daniel.
I just wanted to suggest that based on the way projects, the other day I think somebody reached out to me asking me how to navigate the platform, how does he get to interact with clients and stuff like that. I was of the opinion, because currently the way it is being done is we have to go to the project board and look at projects we have fit and indicate interest, which is fine. However, I was hoping maybe it could be a little bit automated, whereby when there's a new client, the system filter through those who it thinks might be a fit, and perhaps send them personalized message and say, hey, this is a new project, you might be a fit. Keeps everybody in the loop, and I think it will create more increased activity on the platform, so that when, oh, okay, this is a new client, oh, this person does this, oh, okay, yes, I can do this, people will be much more. That way, it creates more engagement for people, and people will be able to see projects they are more likely to be able to do. Because I feel a lot of people miss out on projects. Some persons don't even come on Slack. Some persons might miss messages too and stuff like that. So I think that's just my feedback on that.
Does anyone agree or want to express agreement? Okay, so we have some were those hand raised on this one, but yeah, okay. So yeah, basically right now we have an auto suggester bot that goes to clients and says, like, you may consider inviting these people in addition to the people you've invited for this request, but nothing actually goes to the talent saying you may be interested in like marking on these projects in browse projects they're particularly relevant to you. So I think that's a great suggestion, and we'll try to keep that in mind as well. So moving to marketing. Marketing is very important. It's our top priority. We have Castro, who is doing some amazing work right now, automating marketing. He's basically, Castro is writing scripts that detect important events that happen in Discord and Slack orgs. Samba is working with him, and Samba is leveraging ChatGPT and OpenAI APIs to be able to customize and reach out to both talent and clients to get them to join our network, especially on the client front, getting more clients for our talent. And so basically, that is some work that Castro and Samba are doing. And then Nuthan is collaborating with Samba again to take a job post, any job post. We shouldn't just be sending people blanketed emails saying hire our talent. We should send very specific candidate suggestions, but not just that, we should link it to their job description. And we're using some of the OpenAI APIs, but also our own matching algorithm to kind of automate that process, because we found that the conversion rate is much higher when we send specific candidates for job post related emails, because there are many players in the space. We're also ranking higher and higher in terms of SEO because of many articles on our blog. Vijita wrote one that's very popular on Ubuntu, and Dafa wrote another as well. Dennis has written some. Many of you have written articles on our blog. Now, we talk a little bit about chatbots on the Wefunder as well, and like how we can glean more insights from the work sessions data, from the interactions data, and match people better. We talk a little bit about our business model, and we're a bit transparent about Like some of you give us suggestions and we're like, how does that actually fit into our business model? Like, will it actually work as a business decision? Now we've made our business data a little bit more transparent. How much does it cost to acquire a client? How much does it cost? How much do we earn from a client? All that data is now transparent. You can take a look as well. And so those are some of the things in terms of business. I was wondering if any of you had any questions or concerns based on the stuff that I've been walking through with you. All right, so let's get to the most important part of the session today, which is what makes a professional engineer or designer. So Anisha has worked quite hard on making this graphic, which is trying to describe everything that goes into making someone a professional engineer or designer. It's their ability to work in an agile environment, but it's also their soft skills, like their ability to communicate, their ability to be whole-brained, to think creatively. It's their ability to not just respond, but respond within a reasonable amount of time in a remote work setting. That responsiveness is key and has gotten us clients and has lost us clients. And it's also their ability to know which design patterns to use. I should use mixins in this context, MVC in this other context. It's their ability to read stack traces and debug. And it's also their ability to sort of wield through complex logic. If we were to run automated analysis, and Omar from Egypt, who's a member of our network, forked Stanford Moss, which is a plagiarism detection software. We wrote our own version of it, and we're analyzing the code for what code is original, looking at that code and using AST. And Anisha worked with Omar to basically analyze code. And now we're going to have code analysis appear on the LD Talent profiles as well. So it's that ability to know that they've built complex things in terms of code, but it's also their ability to engage in lifelong learning. What coding challenges have they done? What have they done in terms of cutting edge technology? It's, do other people like working with them in terms of background checks and reference checks? But it's also just the practical, like if you do a coding challenge, do they do well? Or if you do a design challenge, do they do well? So that is really what we think makes a professional. And I guess a big thing is, I am doing this from a research perspective because my PhD research was in this area. But I'm curious about it, Abi, from a more practical perspective. Like when you worked for Meta, when you worked for other FAANG companies, what were they looking for in terms of really like staff level tech talent, and what might be we be missing?
Yes, can you hear me, Kabi?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, thank you for having me on. So I understand your question is, what type of skills are these FAANG companies looking for in their interview process that might be more sophisticated?
Yeah, like a lot of the times people come to us and they're like, okay, we need a staff level FAANG. We need staff level FAANG level talent for our new ML startup. And I say, we have, like, if you search on LD Talent for machine learning engineers, we have really excellent talent. Why won't they hire from LD Talent? Why don't they believe that staff level talent exists outside of, for instance, Silicon Valley or New York? And one of the things that we were told is there are so many things that go into staff level talent. And since you were like sort of working at Meta and many other FAANG companies, we're curious, like, what out of this like sort of selection that we've provided you today, what are we missing is our question.
So in general, the thing that comes to mind is that companies, FAANG companies, and then other companies that say they're looking for top talent, one big thing they're looking for is soft skills as well. Not to say that that's not available in LD or that's more readily available anywhere else, but I think the way I would translate something like that is they want someone who has soft skills as well, and that's what they're looking for. In my experience in the FAANG interviews, they looked, I think, for technical skills, but
Mhm.
I think sometimes it wasn't the most challenging technical interview that I had was with the FAANG companies. But I think communication is another piece that they were looking for and evaluating on. So when I was doing a problem with them, like a coding problem for the interview, then I was also explaining out loud how I was thinking through the problem. And I think that was one piece. I even heard a story of someone applying to a company and then they got a coding challenge to do as part of an interview and they weren't able to solve the problem, but they still got the job. And I think it was because they explained their thought process very thoroughly and communicated well.
That's really helpful. And that ability to talk aloud while you're describing how you're approaching a coding problem, that's a really important skill. That's something that Anisha and Bijita have thought about when they designed like some of the vetting challenges that we're going to be launching soon, where people like do a vetting challenge, like a soft or tech skill challenge, but then they talk aloud how they came to their solution. But I'm curious, all of you here, many of you are engineering talent, who, I mean, some of you have worked at top companies and such, but I think a lot of you respect this sort of like, wow, this is a software engineer from Google, or this is a software engineer from a FAANG company. There's this amount of respect that is there for FAANG engineers and designers. I'm curious what questions you have for Abi, who's actually worked with FAANG companies.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, sorry, my video is off. I'm at the place my video cannot come on right now. So my question is, when I've seen a lot of the big companies, they will keep hearing things like soft skills. So on a scale of 100, if we have the hard skills and the soft skills, how do they weigh between the two before making their decision? And when they talk about soft skills, what are the specific things? Because I've interviewed recently at, I think sometime last year at Meta. I got to the final stage of the interview processes. I made it all through to the last point where I just had to go through that final stage and then a decision will get made. And then when the decision got made, they sent a message back. They are very impressed with the technical skills. But they mentioned something about the soft skills. So they specifically referenced one of the presentation, that the presentation could have been better, but they didn't go further to talk more about the presentation. So how do they weigh these things? Because is there like a 50-50 on hard skill, 50 hard skill, 50 soft skill, or 70 hard skills, 30 soft skills, or 70 soft skill, 30 hard skill? How do they evaluate these things to decide that, okay, your soft skill is what we need more than your hard skills for this particular role? How do they make those decisions?
Okay, thank you for your question. If I understand it correctly, you're asking there's two parts. One is how much is the weighting between hard skills and soft skills? And the second is what are the soft skills that they're looking for? Did I understand correctly?
Yes, you understand. Yeah, it's correct. Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, for the first part, hard skills being the technical skills like actually coding, and then soft skills being the communication and other parts. If I had to guess, I'd say they're both necessary, so 50-50. I think that they would want every engineer coming on to have both hard skills and soft skills, and they wouldn't seek to hire someone who doesn't have both of them. And then in terms of what soft skills they're looking for, I think every company will have their own words that they use, but the things that come off the top of my head are, for example, if you ask someone a question about just any general question, like what's the time that you solved a challenging technical problem or you led a team through a challenge, then something that I've noticed when interviewing people is that you want a response that flows and then also is the right length. Some people give very short answers and then you don't really know where to go from there. And then other people will just talk and talk, and then you kind of zone out after a while. So you want to have an answer that is the right length, maybe 1 or 2 minutes, that gives some information and then stops so that the interviewer can decide whether to dig deeper into a particular area or to move on to something else. So I think that's the thing that comes to mind. That's very important. And one question that I got asked during an interview one time that I thought was interesting was they gave a hypothetical situation where there's a member on a team and they don't talk much during the meetings or something similar. And they asked, what would you do as someone on that team, not necessarily a manager, but just a teammate? Like, what would you do on the team if you notice that happening? Like someone doesn't get to participate in the team discussions. That was a question. And I think, I don't know exactly what they were looking for, but I think they were looking for like some kind of empathetic response.
Very cool. One of the things we were wondering was just now. Oh, sorry, we have a couple people raising their hands. Let them go first. So, Chezam, do you have a comment, or were you just raising your hand?
Yes, I have a question I'd like
Go
to
ahead.
ask.
Go ahead.
Okay, thanks, I, for the explanation to the earlier question. It's really helpful. So based on that, I'd like to ask a further question. Is there a compromise between technical skills and soft skills? Let's take, for instance, your interviewer, and this candidate is extremely technical. So he knows his way around all the algorithms and data structures, design and all that. So he's versed and experienced and he's got his thing. He's really smart. They just put it that way. And this other candidate is not that he's not smart, but he's not as technically gifted as but in area of soft skills, he has done better than the candidates with extreme technical skills. Then you have a third candidate that just has some measure of both, right? Some measure of technical and some measure of soft skills. So while making decision, who are you going to go for, given that the team is in need of a problem solver who will come in and support the team and add value in no time? So how are you going to make this decision? And in this, what would you like to advise for potential candidates in those top organizations? Thank you.
Okay, so thanks for the question. I understand it's between candidates who have more soft skills or more hard skills. What is the preferred option? Like how much are they weighted against each other? So just based on hearing the description you gave, my inclination would be to go with a candidate that demonstrates better soft skills. And the reason being is that I would think that a candidate who has good soft skills would be, one, more coachable. So if they do need to improve in certain areas, then I might have confidence that they would improve in those areas. And then second is teamwork. So in any kind of development, you have to work with other people, and one of the soft skills is collaboration. And so I think someone it would be necessary for them to work with other people. So the candidate with demonstrated soft skills might be better in that area. So those are two big reasons I would incline to going with a candidate with better soft skills versus better hardware skills. Some caveats to that are, if there's something very specific that needs to be done, like a very specific technology or a technical skill that doesn't involve like working with the rest of the application, then maybe it's a special situation and it's more just about going with someone who's an expert in that area. And then the other thing is that ideally the process should be designed so that it allows a candidate to demonstrate both soft skills and hard skills. And what I mean by that is one thing to just ask someone, oh, like, I don't know, what are your weaknesses? And then they respond something and you gauge their soft skills on that. That may not be the best signal. What might be good signal for gauging soft skills is if they give some type of take-home coding challenge or like a live interview, then seeing how receptive the person is to hints during a live coding interview, or just how they communicate. And I think the biggest thing is like, do they follow the instructions exactly of the assignment? Are they able to understand the instructions, ask clarifying questions if they need to, and then like respond with something that follows the instructions exactly? I think that's like the biggest thing, which is one type of soft skill, but like also something very specific, which I think is very critical. I hope that answers your question. Let me know if there's anything you'd like more elaboration on.
Yes, definitely. Thank you for being comprehensive in the answer you gave. I appreciate that. Thank you.
And we had one more hand raised. Or no, that's Chisholm.
Yeah, that was mine. I think
okay, yeah, go ahead.
my question has been answered. Thank you. The answer was comprehensive enough.
Okay, great. As a famous filmmaker once said, 80% of success is just showing up. And so one of the most important soft skills is responsiveness. The more responsive, the better. Responding within a couple hours is much better than responding after 12 or 24 or 48 hours. That's the way you lose clients, is by not responding to them on time. Another one of these soft skills that we track at LD Talent is just personability. Are you aware of the culture of our organization? Why you want to work with our organization? One of the things that we look for, like for instance, all of you showing who came today, we make note of that you came today, and we try to have our algorithm boost you because we know you're legit, you're involved. Those showing video, we try to keep that in mind, because clients also want that human connection. And another thing that we've realized is nowadays, it's a lot easier for people to write more effectively. We have many people in our network who are great engineers. But for instance, we've discussed with many people who are great engineers, but for instance, their communication wasn't as good in English. But now with tools like these large language models, ChatGPT and etc., you can really have some of the, like we're thinking of building a plugin that'll embed that into our Slack, so that if we see incorrect grammar, we see non-professional communication, we can automatically guide the talent who are strong technically to improve the communication, so that they end up performing better. And that also reduces the divide between a US engineer or an engineer in India or Africa or whatnot, because now the communication quality is the same. It's equally professional everywhere. So if somebody's a technical genius in India, but their English is not as good, it doesn't really matter as much anymore, because especially for chat-based communication. So those are some of the things that we're thinking about. And I'm curious if any of you had thoughts on that, like about using some of these tools to catapult over and show your technical prowess without being hindered. Now, most of you also have great English skills and communication skills, so that's great. But like for many of the talent in the network, it could be an issue. And so that's one thing that we're curious about in terms of these new tooling available. Okay, so Tito actually had a question. It's related, so I'll bring it up in a second. But any comments on this particular thing of using LLMs to and chat GPT to improve communication? Abi, did you have any comments? Because you have interacted with us as a client as well.
If I have any comments on working with engineers on LD Talent as a client?
Yeah, like what was your experience? We're curious about that. I know we know, so Abi wrote some great feedback points on the Wefunder responses. But I think it would be really useful for you to like share about the communication, about like what you need as a client.
Okay, so well, one thing that immediately comes to mind is like, so if I describe like what I'm trying to do and the specific challenges that I'm having, then if someone like between someone who like just says okay and that's fine, I'll solve it, or like someone else who like I don't know gives me more information, like yes, I can see, I don't know, it being this way. I think these parts are going to be the things that are challenging, and like I don't know, just gives me like more information. I think that helps the client understand, like feel more confident that an engineer has understood the problem. So I hope that makes sense. And then I think responsiveness is important, but it's also like important to have a good response. Like usually a client should be like have enough time to wait, like I guess at least 24 hours in order to get responses from engineers. And so like it's better to send a good message like a few hours later rather than just sending a rushed message in the moment. I hope that you know, goes in line with what you also believe, Gobi.
Yeah, maybe what one could do is they could use the seen in red reaction to allay the client's fear of like, has this person disappeared on me? They could use seen in red or some kind of reaction and then respond later after they've thought about it. That's an option. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. If it's like a recruiting type message, then there might be like a longer acceptable time to respond. Whereas if it's like you're actually working on a project and it's about something specific, then the client might expect a more rapid response if it's during your working hours. So the context is also important, and you know, you can I guess always say that, okay, I need some more time to respond regarding this portion. I'll get back to you later. I'll get back to you.
But that communication that you just said is something that clients are really looking for. Is like communicating more than communicating less. I think that's the thing that a lot of the talent don't, you know, we as talent, and I'm also talent on the platform, you're also talent on the platform. A lot, I think, in fact, I think all of us are talent on the platform. Some of us have also been clients on the platform. But basically, if you, the ability to communicate that specific nuance is key. I think people don't realize like how much more the clients are willing to pay if you just communicate better. If you show up on a video call, you're talking with your client face to face on the video call, the client will pay a lot more for that experience than just chatting with you back and forth, because they know like you're legit and you're ready to take responsibility. That kind of, okay, so that's pretty insightful. Of what you're saying about like those nuances there, in terms of like, even if you can't get back sooner, you can let them know that you'll get back sooner to them. You'll get back later to them. With that said, I think we should go to Tito's question. So Tito said, how is the response time and message count on my profile calculated? And so the response time is an average looking at the difference between when a client sent a message to you and when you responded, or when one of our staff sent a message to you and you responded, barring out times when it's not relevant. Like for instance, if we said thank you, we don't expect a response after that, or sounds good or something. And then time zones seem to hurt response times that come in late into the night and have to reply in the morning. Yeah, I think that at that stage, it's okay. We all have to be reasonable in life. But if you set your time zone availability with a little bit of PST and EST overlap on your profile, so a little bit of US time zone overlap, then I think you should be good. As long as you respond responsibly, like it's good, right? What we're talking about is egregious cases of people not responding for days and then clients getting frustrated and not taking talent seriously. So that's good. I think there were a few other core things that we wanted to touch on a little bit. So let me see if I can bring that up. So I think we talked a lot about Joho's mental health focused Pomodoro app. But what I'd love last time we met, so we won't talk about that as much this time. Instead, I wanted to share a few ideas for uses of yeah, thank you, Tito. So I wanted to share a few uses of ChatGPT and AI in general, and how it can make our platform's talent more successful in terms of their earnings. And then I'll split us all into breakout rooms for 5 minutes, and we'll try to be in groups of 2 or 3 and try to discuss some ideas in groups. So I'm not the only one talking. And then we'd like our groups to come back, share ideas, and that's how we'll conclude the meeting, where everyone shares some ideas. And if you have an idea outside of AI, that's also okay. But I'll just give you a few ideas. Rundown real quick. ChatGPT can be used to fix up resumes language and optimize them for getting clients, including the kind of content that clients want to see. OCR to auto upload. You upload your resume and it auto detects your skills and fills out your profile for you, so that it's a little bit easier to recruit talent for the right skills and more talent. Customized marketing. So we're sending really custom messages to clients so we get them on board more quickly. Not just saying, I saw your job, but I saw your job looking for a GraphQL expert who can also integrate with our Django, other Django app, and then recommending very specific talent for that. Maybe talking about the company that we're pitching the LD candidates to. Automating our Slack-based customer support. A lot of the customer support we do takes time away from other things we could be doing for you to get you all clients and to get you all better paying opportunities. And so automating some of that with some of these AI models. Looking at automating the interview process. So a lot of things can be gauged in terms of soft skills if we have an automated interview process. We can gauge how well somebody speaks using APIs like Whisper. We can train people on how to track work sessions up front, things like that. We could streamline a lot of our marketing IT. We could also include plugins that monitor code. Is this code that talent are submitting? Is it good quality? Could linters have been used in this code base? Are there suggestions on certain types of code improvements? Or can E2E tests and unit tests, which are sometimes a pain to write, be auto-written by these models or be an assistance? One of the things that we're thinking about is we have a list of wiki rules and like best practices, security best practices in our code base, and maybe some of these AI models could help with that. And then, so these are all just some of the ideas that we think could go into basically helping humans and AI work together to achieve our goal faster. So it's not about AI replacing humans' jobs. It's not about humans being more creative than AI. It's about using this collaboration to get to our company's vision as quickly as possible, which is to highlight talent from Africa and South Asia, which are half the world's population, get them to acquire more and more of the world's GDP through tech. And so Avi did leave a comment, and he says there with a word of caution, which is also very important. It can often be verbose. It can also be incorrect, which Nuthan and I have found. And it also, Avi says that clients may realize that people are using ChatGPT as well, and they may not like that. So those are all risks as well. There are legal risks, there are technical risks, there are accuracy risks. Let's go into the breakout rooms and let's basically discuss ideas around how to make our network more effective, whether it's through AI or not, and help us basically get more clients for our talent and more talent with really granular skills, the kind of skills that are our 6,000 skill database now of skills is replete with, if any of you have seen the database skills update. So I'm going to assign, so we have around 20 people. That's perfect. This is one of our best attended town halls. And we're going to break out into 5. Let's break out into 5 rooms. And I'm going to open all the rooms. All right. So yeah. So Castro, did you join room 3? Can you join room 3? Joseph, I'll move you to room 4, which is, okay, you got him there. So it's just Castro left. Castro, are you joined? I'm gonna move you to room 3 if you're there. Oh no, you need to join the room. Castro, are you there? Oh, he already joined room 2. Okay, cool.
So when a talent is supposed to, when a talent is matched to a client, or when a client is looking for a particular skill, so this LLM kind of rewrites the profile. It's just that you can write an expression. So, okay, for example, my name is Chazam. Okay, Chazam is a software engineer with over 5 years of experience. He has worked in so company. This is his GitHub profile. Database experience, Postgres, MySQL, just different data basics, right? And backend languages, front-end libraries and framework. So the system knows what you can do, your skills, but now putting them together in a very fine way, in a way that's fine-tuned already, is what the LLM is going to come in, or ChatGPT is going to come in. And so because clients may be turned off by looking at a shabby profile because you've made so many grammatical errors, or your profile is not, some links are broken. But if the system knows your skills and the qualities you've got by listing them, so the system cannot, you can make an input or query the system like, write a profile for Chiazam given these skills. So the system is going to write a very fine and attractive profile for me. and use the skills, just use the skills to phrase awesome sentences, right, based on what I've provided. So if a client is looking for a back-end engineer with web scraping experience, so the system is going to look for all the engineers in the leagues who has got a web scraping experience, who has got the skills that the back-end is the client is looking for. So the system is going to write an awesome project, just like a catchy comprehension
problem, knowing how to, check the work sessions, or how, like, the overall how FD Talent worked, because he didn't know more technically, right? So I think we might be able to integrate ChatGPT or AI in some way to help the clients to figure out the whole process of ChatGPT, of LD Talent more.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. Yes. I think I just want to reiterate what Gobi said earlier as regards communication. Yes, I think it can also be helpful. You know, when you draft a message, it should be able to guide and say, okay, you're using a passive word here, can you make it this way, to suggest ways of improving it and ensure that you can communicate efficiently with the client or whoever you need to communicate with. So I think those are also another thing I think I'm thinking is it would be also okay if we can integrate it into maybe resume writing, how to craft, when we're in our resumes on the network, we need to craft it in a certain way. I think I can actually help in helping us crafting the right message across so that we'll be able to present what we've done properly to clients in a way they will understand, and it actually represents what we've actually done with maybe the technology or on the projects. I think those are the few ways I think we can think of right now.
This problem. You look at an algorithm. They don't, especially the ones that are using deep learning, they show a lack of understanding of the concepts in the problem. That really can be amazing. There is a talk I will share probably in Slack where you look at, they tell an AI to classify an image and tell us what's going on in an image, develop captions. And you have people next to a bot, but because in the training data, a lot of the people are on the bot, it says people are on the bot. So those are really exciting areas. And these days, I'm interested in something called symbolic AI, a synergy of symbolic AI with what we currently have in deep learning. And so that's where exciting things are. And particularly, we'll be able to avoid some of those errors if we look into that direction. So that would be a synergy between symbolic AI and neural networks to be able to,
I think primarily that has been what I've been using it for.
Oh.
And I haven't actually pondered on more ideas on how to get to, make it more valuable when it comes to like payments and stuff like that. Just to know if you guys have got some other ideas, then you can chip in, then I could probably get to piggyback from some of those ideas.
Yeah, some of the ideas we were discussing earlier, like having 8 role play interviewer situations with you.
Better, we can use ChatGPT for generating SEO friendly keywords. So what tool are you using?
Me? Keyword planner, Google Keyword Planner.
Are we the only one here?
There are many. There's
No,
one more tool.
I'm asking Gopi, are we the only one
Oh.
left to leave the Zoom?
No, I
mean,
just
breakout room?
started closing them because we only have a few minutes left in the town hall. So you
Oh.
have 45 seconds to go back in. I'm closing them now, and everyone's in their breakout rooms. Hey, Castro, how are you? Hi, Castro. Castro, can you hear me?
So yeah.
Yes, Gopi, I can
okay,
hear you.
okay. Yeah, how are you doing?
Good. I'm still on the other breakout session. I was in 2 breakout sessions, so I'm still on the
Okay.
other one. Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay, let me see if everyone's back. Wow, 20 people, and everyone, I think one of the things that's really good about today is that we started with like a lot of people, over 20 people, but we didn't reduce down. We still have all 20 people towards the end. So that's saying something really strong. 21 people. And so basically, you know, I heard some ideas. Room 1. So I was wondering if each room, one of the people from each room, and I know who's in each room. So if no one speaks up, then I'll start calling names. So someone speak up. Share your idea in like a sentence. So room 1.
Vikita, I mentioned this, I said so. I said we might get back to this. Okay, quickly, I think we talked about a few things, and I think summary, we talked about how AI can help improve our resumes on LD Talent. Also, we talked about how it can help improve communication. I think that's just an addendum to what could be mentioned earlier. And I think we also talked about how it can help improve alerts. I mean, informing talents about jobs. Sorry, did I miss anything? Peter or Dennis, please kindly come in. I just mentioned those 3, but there may be something I missed.
I think that's it.
That's it.
Cool. That's awesome. Room 2.
First, we talked about how we use ChatGPT for pair programming. So that will be debugging and improving the efficiency of the code that we write. And then we also talked about some opportunities for transfer learning. So we talk about maybe getting embeddings from ChatGPT or downstream tasks that we would do internally. We talked about the current limitations in ChatGPT, hallucinations. We talk about the gaps that are there and how we could maybe develop internal models that will probably start from where ChatGPT has its gaps. So that we talked about using symbolic AI together with neural networks, hybrid of those 2. So yeah, that's what we talked about.
Got it. Cool. That's very detailed, and I'm looking forward to us working together. You and Castro are collaborating on that, and Preeti is also highly involved. Kinsanya has Adeola has experience with the client, so that's good. Cool. So now let's move on to room 3.
So in room 3, we talked about using ChatGPT to improve resumes, using it to write codes, improve codes, document codes. We also talked about using ChatGPT to practice interviews and practice communication scenarios. So one of the points we spent a lot of time talking about was using it to practice interview, where you can create different scenarios and ChatGPT can role play the interviewer role while you are the interviewee, and you can practice for whatever interview and communication scenario that you have. If I'm missing anything else, Joseph, and you can help me out. Thank you, everyone.
I think that was it.
Thank you. Room 4.
Okay. In my room, Newton, George, and I discussed about how ChatGPT can be helpful for clients or talent. So if for talent, if you know something and if you want to know more about that specific skills or knowledge, then tools like ChatGPT can give more information about such topics, specific topics, and it can be helpful to expand our knowledge. And also it can be helpful for lifelong learning projects as well. Like we can check, like everyone knows how we can check grammar or other writing errors using ChatGPT, and like ask for suggestions on how to make it better. And another thing that we discussed is how we can help, how ChatGPT can be helpful for generating SEO-friendly keywords in order to surface our blog articles better. So Newton has been using Google Keyword Planner, which is a Chrome extension, but maybe ChatGPT can be more helpful in generating such SEO-friendly keywords. And another is suggestion. We can ask for suggestions on how to approach, like for talent, how to approach clients. Like Newton is writing this blog on strategies to hire remote software development teams in a startup. And ChatGPT gave her a lot of perspectives, like how we talked, how it's difficult for managers to deal with different scenarios and like manage teams from different time zones. And it's difficult to collaborate in such different time zones or deal with different kind of people. So maybe it can be helpful on how to make the collaboration more effective without needing to micromanage the team. So yeah, it can be both helpful for both clients and talent. So that's all we discussed. I guess, Newton, do you like to add anything more?
Yeah, I also use other tools like Grammarly and BibMe and WordTune. Like before ChatGPT, I used to use these tools, and also a lot of SEO tools I used to use for writing SEO friendly blogs. But then after ChatGPT, I'm using more of ChatGPT. So yeah, it's really helpful.
Great. And George, did you have anything to add there? George is
no. Currently, I have no additional point.
okay. Yeah, and I just one note on that. I think that in general, making sure we're at the cutting edge of technology is the only way we'll make sure we succeed. Because already we have a huge challenge in front of us, which is to get a lot of people in Africa, in South Asia hired because they are technically great. And so we need to make sure we're at the cutting edge of technology, because usually when people are at the cutting edge of technology, they're more likely to succeed than people who are afraid of using technology. So we also always want to be using the slickest way to do things, the most high tech, while still being mindful, as Samba was saying, like, does the model really understand what we need? And finally, room 5.
Yeah, we talked about the impact of ChatGPT and LLM and how we could use them to fine-tune the talent profile. So we know that the profile of a talent is really important in getting talent matched to a client, and due to the high importance of this, I remember my own personal experience when I got into the system. I had to make a couple of corrections, typos, and others, right? So if we could leverage ChatGPT and LLM to kind of build a template for each client, for example, taking myself as a case study, You talk about database that I've got experience in. You talk about different kinds of database, front-end libraries and framework, back-end libraries and framework languages. So when we pass this as an input to ChatGPT or LLM, so what it's going to generate is a comprehensive summary, right, of a profile that is cached, that if any client sees it, it's going to know that, okay, this person knows what he's doing based on years of experience. So you're still going to add years of experience as an input. So the AI algorithm is going to generate a profile for this person. So when AI generates a profile for this person, this person could not take it as a template. So why using it as a template and not the final result that you're going to present to client is the robotic tool that ChatGPT has, something like in summary, if you're using ChatGPT often, you see that there's always this tune that he asks, these robotic phrases that he asks, so you can remove all of those things so that it will look authentic. And another thing too that we talked about is helping clients to know, or convincing clients to know, that some technologies are related, that a talent who has got skill in this can also handle this. Take, for instance, end-to-end text and Cypress. So a client is looking for someone who is experienced in Cypress, but someone else has E2E in his profile. So it could be someone who does E2E could be experienced in Cypress as well. So with ChatGPT, you've got to match all of these together. A client is looking for someone who's got experience in Python library schedule, but someone has been using Celery and some other clone jobs and the likes to work on applications for a couple of years. But if you can do this and there's a piece of library that does something similar, right? So the AI model could generate a response or a profile that includes that same library as a result for this particular talent. So these just few of the things that we talked about. If I missed anything, please, Abby and Dan, please, you can help me out, and Ethan, please. Thank you.
Yeah, that was all. Yeah, that we talked about.
Awesome. Well, I want to be mindful of everybody's time here. Samba shared an article. I included it in Slack as well. So I want to be very mindful of everyone's time. I think in terms of ratio of amount of time spent to number of ideas we've generated, we've done really well today. We have a lot of great ideas to work off of. So that's one great thing. And another thing that I just want to encourage everyone, so now everyone watching this, please do subscribe to LD Talent's YouTube channel and all our socials. Be active in our Slack and give us feedback. We want to make sure that you hit your next goal, whether it's getting hired with a client, whether it's getting hired with a client, or whether it's starting an LD Ventures project, whether it's doing a lifelong learning project, whatever it may be, just give us the feedback so that we can better serve you. Okay, and with that said, that'll conclude today's town hall. Take care.